morning, everyone. We are glad to welcome you to another edition of our weekly market prognosis, 17th May 2024. We'll be looking at what transpired in our equities market, talked about our recommendation, and we will also put our action forward to all our valued customers. And because of last week, the equities market lost 0.11% in terms of all share index, which is the key barometer to measure the market movement. By the time you compare that to what market recorded in the previous week, we were at minus 1.36%. When you look at those comparisons, we could see that the market depreciated, but at a lower level, simply because we saw renewed buy interest in some of the highly capitalized stocks and a couple of middle capitalized stocks. Even though during the 5 trading section of the last week, we had 4 trading section closing on a negative note. It was only on Thursday that the market recorded move towards the green zone and closed on a positive note. And it wasn't because our market is still not strong, but there are several factors that are responsible for that. In terms of the trade turnover, we could see that we did 1.6 billion in terms of units, and the value of about 2.67 billion. It was lower than what the market did in the previous week when we had 50.67 billion. But in terms of activities, the financial service still remains the most active and a strong segment of our equities market or financial service market, because in terms of contribution to the entire transaction in our equities market, financial service firms still recorded 59.30% in terms of the volume, and in terms of value, they also recorded 39.01%. That's for the value. So looking at the key drivers in the course of the week, we could see that Custodian Investment PLC, GTCO, Access Bank, and a full of highly capitalized stocks were the key drivers in our equities market, even though the market still traveled to the red zone at the close of the business. So, but in terms of the market capitalization, we were at 55.50 trillion, and then the market basically closed negative because in the course of the week, for the entire week of last week, we could see that market had more losers than the gainers. And this graph is just to give us an overview of the trading section for the entire last week. You could see why the all share index closed lower, though negative, but lower than what we had in the previous week. In the course of last week, we could see that the all share index, ASI, and the NGX 30 also capture the performance of the 30 highly capitalized in our equities market. So you move together with the ASI and every trading section. So last week, Monday to Wednesday, market was a bearish note. On Thursday, market closed positive simply because we saw renewed buy interest in Airtel Africa. Airtel Africa wants to be among the first 3 or 4 listed companies in our equities market with high capitalization. So we saw renewed buy interest in Airtel Africa on Friday, and then it's 9% on Thursday. That actually reduced or moderated the all share index indices or the figure. That was the reason why on Friday, at the close of the business on Friday, we had 0.11%. We expected on Friday a market to be able to also to the parts of the green zone, but a surplus, which is another highly capitalized stocks in the equities market, we see a profit taking in Seplat PLC. That actually moderated the ASI to minus 0.11%. In terms of the financial service accounted for 59%, consumer 15%, consumer 9%. And then looking at the entire indices for the last week under lead capital coverage, NGX Industrial happens to be the only index that recorded gain because we saw the new buy interest in West African Portland Cement, while NGX Banking lost minus 5.31%. UBA was marked down last week for the dividends, and then GTB and other FUGAs also depreciated. That was the reason OGX Banking also depreciated. Oil and gas, I talked about the Seplat. Seplat, we also saw profit taking in Seplat, which is the biggest indigenous oil company that operated in the upstream and listed in our equities market. It lost minus 6.4% when you compare that to the one we had in the previous week. So it was higher than the loss was higher than those previous weeks. Not just insurance as well, LEM Insurance and a few other insurance companies also depreciated. Consumer as well, Dangote Cement, Dangote Sugar, and a few other consumer. These are the reasons why the market closed negative on Friday, because out of the 5 major indices, 4 indices lost only one. So there was no way those will brings move the market to the green zone. So, and then in terms of our monthly return, it has reduced to minus 0.1%. Our quarter-to-date performance, we are still at minus 0.61%, and our year-to-date performance, we're still at 31.23%. So, of course, it's moderating, but over time, we are likely to see improvement. I'm going to emphasize more on this slide because I know it has been the concern of every value investors that the market has been coming down. It worries everybody, both value and growth investors. But there's one thing we need to note. What the market is currently experiencing now, it's not as if the companies we have seen in our equities market that are listed are not doing very well. The result we have seen across sectors for companies that have also released their result, corporate actions, their corporate result for the Q1, for the banks, and the one we have also seen in other segments of our market, in agriculture, in insurance, and also in consumer. And they have done better than what they did last year. But the fact that market has been on a downward trend does not mean that our market is still not strong. That does not mean that all our companies are still not very strong, because you'll be asking us as your investment advisor that why is it that all the time we'll be telling you to buy and the market are still going down. We'll continue to tell you to buy because our recommendations are based on valuation. Anybody that is coming to equities market in any part of this world, not only limited to Africa, even in developed markets as well, the key factor, the key things you have to consider is valuation. Once you get your valuation, any asset that you get the valuation right, even if the prices are down because of macroeconomic challenges, there's no way the prices of that asset will still not retrace its position to the original or the intrinsic value. So if you see this recommendation, you could see that we have extended our recommendation to almost 20 stocks, covering all the indices we are covering. The banking sector for this week, we are placing those things on hold. The Access Bank, in the previous week, we said buy. For this week, Access Bank, at least between today and tomorrow, Central Bank Committee of the Monetary Policy of Central Bank, they are likely to meet, and they are going to determine the rate. And they also forget that in the last 4-5 months now, the Central Bank has been very aggressive in taming inflation. The figure that was released to the market for the inflation, headline inflation for the month of April also increased. It also went up by 49 basis points, even though the increment was at a lower level, meaning that inflation is still coming down. Don't also forget that we are in the asset season. And then for the month of March, foreign exchange, the Nigerian naira to dollar gained 21.9%. In the month of April, it also gained 22.15%, meaning that the central bank is also reducing the rate of inflation. So we are hoping that towards the third quarter of this year, inflation is likely to moderate, and then that has been the concern of every investor. So the reason why we are placing some of these securities on hold, the banking sector, all our banks are placed on hold. Look, starting from number 1 to number 7, they are on hold because we are waiting for the outcome of the central bank that will be meeting today and tomorrow. Based on the CPI and the headline inflation that has gone up, there's tendency for them to also increase the MPR either by 100 or 200 basis points. So, and there's no way when such action takes place within financial sector, my banking sector, it will not affect securities or instruments that are very volatile with the banking sector. So by the time we see the outcome of the central bank, we'll be able to give you further advice. But for now, all the banking sector, we are placing them on hold. That does not mean that they are not trading, they are above the valuation. As all are still trading below the valuation. We want to see the impact of the central bank on the price of this bank before we can also come out and give you a further recommendation. And then for the flour mill, we're also placing flour mill on hold. Remember, we are placing Unilever on buy. It is not in banking sector. It's not as volatile as the banking sector. West African Frontline Cement, we're also placing on buy. I've said it in the first slide. that whatever Portland Cement responsible for the expansion we have seen in the NPS Industrial at the close of the business or at the close of the trading section on Friday. Okomwe, we're also placing it on buy, is on agriculture. They are benefiting for the bonding exchange stability. Fresco, we're also placing it on hold because it has been marked down. So we want to see how far the stock will still go down before we can review our recommendation. For William Baker, we are recommending because it's currently above the valuation. So it's still won't deal as well. But for now, the valuation is 6 naira 31 kobo and it's currently trading 7 naira. It's above the valuation. You can exit. And then for the Geico Insurance, we're also placing it on buy because it's still trading below valuation. The result is not out. Master Insurance is also buy. We're also recommending for further insurance, we're also recommending buy because it's still trading below valuation. And Total Energy, we are still placing it on buy. The valuation is 3 naira, 382 naira, while it's currently trading 321 naira, 50 kobo. Though it's exitive, but there's tendency for the stock to move up. Do also forget that the Dangote refinery, we are open, is going to take full operation in distribution of the PMS in the month of June. All the companies or industry that find themselves in the downstream sector of the oil and gas market will benefit massively from the Dangote. So we are placing that one on buy. And the MTN, we're also placing MTN on hold. We have seen their first quarter as well, but we also want to see further reaction in the price of the MTN, and then before we can also come out with other clear-cut action you are going to take in terms of buy or hold or sell. So I've talked about, uh, I've also talked about the other one. So the consumer price index and headline inflation. We are going to monitor activities in that space as we see the outcome of central bank meeting that is coming, that is going to end tomorrow. But in terms of expectation for the week, which is very key on our action, we expect and we anticipate very smooth to pass in the equities market because currently we don't really have strong catalyst that will trigger the market. So market is still going to travel in the red zone. But that does not mean that investors should do panic selling. Don't sell now. Watch those recommendations and you see our further guidance in our daily market update where we usually specify the stop to pick and stop to sell. It comes out if you follow our daily market recommendation, our daily market insight that comes out from our research unit. You see further guidance on that. Treasury-based market auction is also taking place this week. And of course, that also, you also have a prominent role with leadership with the central bank committee's action, whether they increase the rate. If they increase the rate, there's tendency for the yields to also go up in the treasury bills and even the fixed income market. So we're also going to watch that space. We also anticipate further depreciation in ASI and market capitalization. And then the central bank, there's possibility of increasing the rate by 100 or 200 basis points because they are still very aggressive in reducing the impact of inflation within the economic system. As the main concern of the central bank is to ensure that the price stability within the system. And we could see that they are achieving that result because of moderation we have seen in the consumer price index and the food inflation and the headline inflation for the month of April. So what should be the actions for our valued investors for the week? We are encouraging you to take advantage or the current market price as a good entry point for the fundamentally sound stock. We've seen our recommendation. We have some buy there. Those who are placing on hold, stay hold on it. You see further recommendation by Tuesday, by Wednesday in our daily market insight. And then you also watch out for our guidance in our reports. But at this critical time, this is not the time to sell. The market is experiencing downward trend because of various variables within the economic system. Once you are buying, the entry point for you is trading below the valuation. There's no need to, there's no cause for panic. If you remember what happened before the inauguration of Central President Bola Tinubu, some of the stock were trading below their value. And people that took advantage at that time, they benefited immediately. They put some solid policies in place. So for this week, follow those actions and then watch out for those expectations. You'll see our further guidance in our daily market update. Try and look at it. You see those recommendations and further decision on those stock placed on hold because of their volatility. So we have come to the end of the equities market report. So we will take you through the what transpired in the fixed income and the money markets of our financial analyst Ben Masway. And then from there, we'll move down to equity, question and answer.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Very quickly, because of our time, we just look at what transpired at the fixed income markets segment of the market. As usual, in line with our expectations, the interbank rates actually edged upward. We had anticipated that this would be the case on the back of the expected outflow. That was the bond settlement. And at the last auction, which held on Monday last week, we saw that out of the 450 billion worth of urgent bonds that was on offer, subscription was very, very low compared to previous auctions where we had just barely 600, no, 550 billion total subscription. And surprisingly, we saw in a twist of events, this has not been the case, at least for the past 6, 7 auctions that has taken place, where the amount allotted was less than the amount on offer. We saw that out of the 450 billion on offer, just 380 billion.77 was allotted, which amounts to about 101.32 billion. Sorry, 300, yeah, about 30 billion below the amount below the amount on offer. And one major factor that can be attributed to this is we saw investors continue to demand higher yields, but the CBN and the DMO, we've noticed a trend in their movement in the past few weeks, where they've been trying so hard to moderate rates and yields respectively. But we saw that investors are continually demand higher yield, considering where inflation currently is. My colleague spoke earlier to the meeting holding this week, the MPC meeting. The CBN is due to meet. The MPC is due to meet this week. That's today and tomorrow. And at the end of their meeting tomorrow, we expect that we should see a decision on. They have likely said that we should see an increase in the rates by another 100 to 200 basis points. While I think the rates will also be increased, but I feel they might just slow down a little bit, since the movement in CPI and the core headline inflation also slowed down. So I expect that they would slow down in that regard. Yeah, and then quickly to the foreign exchange market because of our time. For the past 3 to 4 weeks now, we've seen a continuous decline in the foreign exchange markets. And that was a similar thing that happened last week, where we saw that at the official window, Naira lost about 212 basis points from 1,466.3 Naira 31 kobo to close at 1,479 Naira 3 kobo at the last week. Also on the forward contracts, we saw the same thing where Naira lost across the various maturities or the various tenors. And we will continue to emphasize this point as long as the key indices, the fundamentals that are required to drive our foreign exchange market still remains lacking. We might not see the needed change or desired change that we want in that aspect of the market. But we hope that those are the ends of affairs, those that are responsible for some of these decisions or some of these actions, would wake up to their responsibilities and ensure that we have a stable foreign exchange market. So very quickly, because of our time, we just look at what do we expect from the market this week. As rightly said earlier, the MPC committee, the MPC is due to meet today and tomorrow. So the market is more like on a standstill. We expect that the decisions of the committee will significantly drive the direction that the market will go, both the equities market, like my colleague has rightly said, and then we also believe that the fixed income market will also move in similar direction. And while market might seem quite unstable for now, just advise that investors stay on the calm notes and watch out for the key policies and the key decisions that are expected to come out this week. And as stated by my colleague earlier, the central bank is due to hold another auction this week. That's the Treasury bills auction, which will be taking place on Wednesday. We've seen clients that have indicated interest in taking advantage of the higher yields that are currently playing out in that segment of the market. So if this is an aspect of the market you're interested in, you can always reach out to us and we'll guide you on how to also enjoy the benefits in that market. So quickly to our various products, we'll continue to emphasize this because we know that these are the various avenues, the various opportunities available for clients to also take advantage of the happenings in the markets. A number of clients will reach out, oh, I actually want to enjoy what is going on in the Treasury bills market or in the bonds market. But due to the size and the capacity, the size to partake in those markets. They've been restricted. So we just offer all the various products because these are also very good avenues to take advantage of the happenings in the market, from the fixed income market, strictly fixed income products. Your risk appetite is not so high, and you still want to enjoy what is happening in the market. The fixed income product is just a very good one for you. The lead balance fund, you also want to take advantage of the happenings in the equities market while also taking advantage of the yields in the fixed income space. That product is a very good product as it has a mix of both fixed income securities and stock market securities and equities basically. And also for the lead dollar fund, you have clients, you have dollars, you're thinking of what can I do with those funds. We also have a lead dollar fund where you can invest your money. Our time is fast spent. At this point, we would open the floor for questions, and we'll be here to provide answers to your questions and inquiries. So if you have questions, if you have inquiries, observations, now is the time to ask them. Okay, we have a question here. Now that NEM is dropping, do you recommend hold, buy, or sell?
Okay, thank you. You have to look at that with valuation. So if it has dropped below the current valuation, you can buy. Just as I've said, any asset that is trading below the valuation is a good buy, as soon as the fundamentals behind those stock are strong. So we'll watch it further. But if it's trading below the valuation, you will see in our further recommendation that you should buy. In previous recommendation, we had placed NEM on high recommendation. When it above the valuation, place it on sell. So let it further depreciate so that we will see our recommendation on the next action line.
Thank you so much for that. There are questions. You can use the chat box to drop your questions, or you can also indicate by a raise of hand. There's a raise hand icon. You can just use that to signify the intentions to ask questions. Okay, we have another question. Nigeria is gradually coming to hyperinflation economy with the rate of inflation going up. What is your advice on investing? Okay, we tried as much as possible to emphasize on this during the course of the session, and our key advice is to investors is to stay calm. In situations like this is not the time to make panic decisions or to make panic selling. We are currently holding and all those things because we strongly believe, like my colleague always say, any recommendation we are rolling out, they've gone through several phases of review, and they've been rolled out based on solid fundamentals. So if there are recommendations we've given you, you can always count that we've done our best based on the available data in the market to advise you and to guide you in the right direction. So not to waste so much time on this. Our advice to you is to continue to also monitor the market, watch out for our recommendations, where you've been advised to sell, where you've been advised to hold, or where you've been advised to buy. Those decisions, they are as a result of well thought through analysis of the various data available in the market. So you can always count on those recommendations. You always tell us about overnight and interbank rate. First on the slide, why this if investors cannot benefit from it, or is there a way to? Okay, so the reason why those data or that particular rate is of importance to the fixed income market is they kind of drive the direction of what happens both at the treasury bills market and at the at the bonds market. And the reason is very simple. When the rates at that end of the market is very low, we see that the major participants in the market, mostly the banks, they take advantage of that market to raise funds. But when those rates are very high, they explore other options, which kind of dictates the activities or the direction in the market. So that rate is very fundamental to the activities in both the treasury bills market and both bonds markets, because they move hand in hand. When market is very liquid, we see that the rates at that end of the market comes. So when the system is very liquid, rather, those rates actually decline, which gives banks mostly the opportunity to explore that segment of the market to raise funds. But when liquidity is very low in the market, we see that rate is always very high, and as such, activities kind of move to the treasury bills and the bonds market. So the rates are not like a dictator. of what happens in the other segments of the market. So they are very key to mostly institutional investors. So what is the basis of your valuation for stocks? How do you come about your figures?
Okay, thank you. There are several metrics used of valuation: price to book ratio, price to earning ratio, earnings per share, and other parameters. So we have that template, and when we run the financials of those companies on those templates, we get our valuations right. So as we have said, that is also subject to review based on the results we are also seeing from the companies on quarterly or on half-year or on full-year basis, and other corporate actions, or in terms of other factors that are likely to impact positively on the balance sheet of those companies. So these are all we are be using to derive our valuations across sectors and across stocks.
There was heavy mopping up of Nigerian breweries last week. What is the driver? Has it bottomed yet?
Yes, because if you see now that the companies that are operating in that segment, because of the government action to ensure that there's a stability in foreign exchange market, because all these companies, they have suffered from foreign exchange market. People have seen that there's a moderation in foreign exchange market, and those companies will benefit once they're able to solve the problem of foreign exchange market. That will impact on their balance sheet, and they start returning to the profit. By the time you see their result for Q1, Q2 with improvement, you see much more pop in the stock of those companies.
Thank you so much. The window is still open for questions. If there are questions, you can use the chat box to ask the questions, or you can also signify by a raise of hand. Okay, we have someone. Okay, you can ask the question now. Your mic has been unmuted.
Good morning. PZ is exiting Nigeria, so I heard, and there's still a lot of activities going on in this stock. What do you say to that? What do you think?
Okay, sir. I think they are exiting. I think they have also had their EGM, and I think a price has been placed on that stock. So people, because it also happened during Adova, we advise some people that once the management, I mean the board decided that the company are exiting and they are paying off. So anybody that is buying that asset outside or exceeding the price that they're going to pay off is going to make a loss. So once they are exiting and they place the price for the payoff, we advise people you should not buy or you should not sell. If you can sell and go the payoff, it's better. But if the price is lower than the payoff, we advise you not to sell. So for now, they are exiting. Don't buy.
Okay, thank you so much. We have another question. Do you anticipate further depreciation of the naira this week? It's a tough call. If we're going to be very objective, no one can confidently say this is the direction that the markets, the foreign exchange markets would trend or go, because we might likely see interventions by the CBN. I think for the past 3 trading sessions now, we've seen a moderation in foreign exchange, and that was due to some activities by the regulator in the market. So, but if you have to look at the fundamentals does not support a very good outlook for naira. And what are the major fundamentals? What are the various drive for FX in Nigeria, in the country? Largely due to our crude oil reduction, and also look at our exports. And those data, the numbers are not looking so promising. So, but then it is not something we can confidently say, okay, to depreciate or to appreciate. I think we should just we'll just continue to monitor the market, and like in our daily recommendations, we'll also give you an update on the direction of the naira. Are we in a market bubble? Can these high equities prices be sustained?
Hello? We're not in the bubble, sir. We've said it in one of the slides. There are several challenges. And it's not only peculiar to Nigeria. If you also monitor other trends, the UK economy, the US, their own market also, they have their own problem as well. So we're not in the bubble, but what is very important to you as a valued investor is to follow those recommendations and to take advantage of the prices that are trading below their valuation. And they also need to look at the sector that are also moving, like financial service, agriculture, and the telecom, and a few other ones. So just stick to this one. We're not in the bubble. The fundamentals are strong in our market, and the regulators are also on top of irregularities in the markets, and that will continue to deepen our equities market. So we have come to the end of this section. We want to use the opportunity again to thank you for taking your time to attend this market prognosis. We appreciate you for your continuous patronage, and will continue to give you further recommendation as event unfolds in the fixed income and the equities market. Thank you very much. Do have a lovely day from Lead Capital PLC. Good morning, everyone, once again.